out there to you all, and welcome into another episode of the Barking Brown Show. I'm Jacob, Mr. Nick Carnes, and Casey Kinnaman. We're brought to you, as always, by our friends over at Homage Apparel, rocking to just a plethora here of the homage. Go check out our friends, Homage Apparel. Get yourself hooked up for an amazing summer of Guardians baseball. You can go do that if you want to do some of that. Get you some one of the most talented Ohio State teams I think we've seen in a really long time, on paper at least. Get you some of that stuff. Get you ready for the Brown season. Go check our friends out at Homage Apparel. If you're checking us out on YouTube and you're new here, welcome. We appreciate you all for being here. Hit that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up. Hey, if you want to support the show, you can you can join our Patreon, patreon.com/BarkingBrowns. Get some on-screen shout-outs and some other exclusive giveaways and things that go on with the Patreon members over there. Gentlemen, how are we doing this evening?
Hey, you know what? I just want to say shout out to everybody who tuned in to the Dallas Cowboys preview with Randy Gurzy. These two stud muffins here carried the load for me as I was missing in action. Y'all are great. We're continuing to grow on the old YouTubes. Jacob posted that tweet the other day. We got like over 20,000 views worth of YouTube in the last, I don't know how long.
Like 3 months. Like it's only been like 3 months.
That's a crazy feeling, especially in this, like, I feel like we're deep in the doldrums of like waiting for football. So thank you to everybody. That's how I am.
I will always take your load.
I just want to make a show correction. It's actually Randy Gurzy who carried the load. He loves carrying loads. That's what he does. He's the load carrier.
Good for him.
We couldn't have found a better dude who could tell us about the Dallas Cowboys. Impossible. You know, Randy's got a wide depth of knowledge when it comes to the Browns and the Cowboys. So awesome first guest. Still working on the guest for Jacksonville. Got a couple feelers out there. Going to try to get you guys somebody cool. And that'll probably be with you this weekend, man. So I'm doing pretty well. How you boys doing tonight?
Somewhere. My nose, my left nostril is doing this weird thing right now. So I don't know what that's
good.
So that's pretty good though, I guess.
Should shove a jalapeno up there.
No, I don't think that's something I'm going to do.
It would work.
I don't. Anyway, should we talk about golf? Anyway, so we'll get into it. The Browns announced today, week 3, during a halftime celebration, they will honor the great Phil Dawson. He will go into the Ring of Honor with a ceremony. So I thought we'd start talking about just our favorite Phil Dawson moment. I think is probably, I think that's the respect he deserves. Yeah. And I think that's where we should start and just be like, okay, what's your favorite Phil Dawson moment? And I think I have mine. So I think since I kind of threw this on you guys just now, I'll go first and let you guys have an opportunity. I'm so bad with years when it comes to these things. I can remember the moment. I can remember what ends up happening, all this. He makes this field goal against Baltimore. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about. They called it no good. I don't know if you guys remember. I know you remember, Casey. I don't know if Nick remembers or the fans out here, but I will take you through this scene. So you're talking about a 3-point game. It's the end of regulation. Dawson lines up. It was over 50. I think it was like 52, 53-yard field goal, something of that nature. It hits the upright, appears to come in, hits the crossbar, comes back out onto the field. They call it no good. Game's over. Browns lose. They start checking this thing out. And, I mean, you've got Ravens, you've got Browns. They're in the locker room. Like, well, the Browns weren't because they thought they had made this field goal. And, you know, the Ravens, they're calling it up. Game's over. They go back and they're like, let's give a look at it. It hits the side goalpost. It never hit the crossbar. It hit the bar that comes up that, what is that, like the L-shaped bar?
Staunch, I believe is what it's called.
And so it hit that and bounced back into the field of play. Well, by hitting that, it went over the crossbar. It was in. It was a good field goal. And they're like, hey, this game ain't over. We're going to overtime. And I believe he kicked the field goal in overtime and they won the game. But
I think so.
I just remember being so pissed off that was no good. I fuck, and I in high school, and I punched the wall, I was all mad and all this stuff, and I was really fed up. And then they're like, I'd never seen anything like that where the game was over, and then all of a sudden they're like, you all need to come back out of the locker room. This game's tied. We're going to overtime.
What I remember the most about it is seeing them wave it no good, and then watching Phil sprint to the official.
Yeah,
pleaded his case, and for whatever reason, the league office had noticed that it hit the staunch or stance, whatever it's called, and then flipped back in or right over the goalpost. And man, like that felt improbable, but it felt like as soon as we went to overtime, we were going to win that game. There were so many times the games were so close and they'd just be out of your grasp. But when they called that field goal good, it's like, oh, we're not losing this one now. And then go on to win it.
Yeah, that's cool. Serge is checking in. I just want to say, hey, hi to Serge. How you doing, man?
Hi, Serge.
There's a bunch of Phil Dawson moments I could pick from. Today I posted a couple different angles from that Bills game that was just the snowpocalypse of all of them.
That's a good one.
The Browns won that game 8-0.
Yes,
including a long snap that just went straight out of the end zone. I don't know how that happened, but Phil Dawson made 2 field goals in that game in whiteout conditions. I have no idea.
Them, like feverishly trying to give him a spot to kick and
give him a spot. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
But I just think my favorite part of Phil Dawson is the feeling I had when he went out on the field. I've never felt, and I think we learned just how much of a luxury Phil Dawson was since now. Dustin Hopkins was great last year, but we had quite a few issues between then. I just never felt more confident. Like I've seen number 4 trotting out on the field. That's a made field goal to me. I don't care if I posted to say I don't care if it's rain, sleet, snow, hail. It just the feeling Phil Dawson gave me when I saw him go out there that I could just believe so confidently he would make it is my favorite part of Phil Dawson kicking because it's so rare in the NFL. There's like a couple guys, and I would say that Phil Dawson is to Cleveland what Justin Tucker is to Baltimore, and that's some rare air. So I just love that the Browns are honoring him. I love what they've done. Rashard Higgins retiring, Christian Kirksey retiring as Browns, and Phil Dawson I love the way that the Browns are pulling the former guys and like keeping those guys close, right? You want to build bridges and have relationships. And so it's like, yeah, Phil Dawson didn't finish his career as a Brown, but it's like he's being honored here. And that means a lot. I love that from them.
Well, I'm going to give you 2 answers because I never follow the rules. My favorite game is the same as Nick. It's the December 16th, 2007 game against the Bills, 8-0. Whiteout conditions. You can barely see the screen. And the fact that they, obviously they have the safety, but it's those 2 kicks, man. No team could do Dick, and him to be at his peak. That's when he became steady Eddie, man. And the thing that I admire most about Phil Dawson is he's on the original team in '99. Wasn't drafted, was on other teams' practice squads, never made it anywhere. Gets in, actually gets a spot with us. But he struggled, man. There were struggles early in his career. There was a point where if it was over 45, there wasn't nothing happening. To get to the point where if it was over 50, he was automatic. Like, you know what I mean? Like he just grew and I got so much respect for him. And it just, even to this day, anytime you get a new kicker, he's going to get asked, hey, have you talked to Phil Dawson?
Well,
like he's a sage at the top of a mountain. You know what I mean?
That's what Serge said just a few minutes ago. He said Phil Dawson's legend to him is how every kicker will be asked.
Yeah.
As he asked Phil Dawson about kicking.
Like you have to walk up 1,000 steps to this temple when he's just sitting up there and there are flags blowing in the background, but that's just the pedestal that we put him on. And there was a large era of my youth growing up watching the Browns where there was Phil Dawson and there was Josh Cribbs and there wasn't shit else happening.
Nope.
There was a couple players here and there that I have admiration for, but those were the constants. You know what I mean? You had dope special teams because you had a dope kicker and you had a dope returner, and it's long overdue, in my opinion, that Phil Dawson gets to go in the Browns Legends Club, and he's going in by himself, from what I understand. So
that's what it looks like.
It'll be a celebration of him against the Giants Week 3. So if you're planning on going to that game, that is a special treat for you, and I expect him to get a crazy ovation.
I have a special request for the Browns because last year, now I get it, that game was a fire drill, but Joe Thomas's honoring was against the Ravens when the Browns were in the midst of getting their ass kicked. Like the stadium was just...
It was rough, yeah.
It was rough. It's like Joe Thomas' celebration is supposed to be this happy thing, and it's like, the Browns are down by whatever, and the whole game was a disaster. So my request is kick the Giants' ass, make it a fun day, make it celebratory.
At least kick their ass in the first half. So we go into the break for the ceremony in a good
Phil
mood.
Dawson deserves it, man. Like I was so sad for Joe Thomas. And the fans got excited, whatever. But it's just not the same when you're getting your ass kicked by the Baltimore Ravens. That. Yeah. Jacob and I were both there. That sucked. And I just felt Joe deserved better. Right.
I got such a sunburn just to watch us get just absolutely
just destroyed. Right. So kick the Giants' ass. Kick their ass and make it a fun day.
Make it not suck is probably. That's probably where we draw the line. Yeah. Okay, so Andrew Berry, I think this is a good place to go to. Andrew Berry was on the Insiders on NFL Network yesterday. Yeah, on Monday night. And so I was thinking there's a couple of things we want to touch on. The first one is in the title for this show, but he said that Deshaun Watson is really ahead of schedule. He's actually ahead of schedule. They believe he's really ahead of schedule in terms of where he is rehab wise. I've read some things. Mary Kay Cabot has put out some stuff about it where the surgeon had a very strict rehab plan. Very strict restrictions, I guess is kind of where I'm going. Can only do, don't do consecutive days, which we saw them do with the practices. And obviously Deshaun's probably doing some stuff on his own down, whatever he's going on. And maybe he's following the rule. I assume he's following it. I don't know what he has to gain from not following it, but at least the team has followed these strict guidelines and kind of gone through that stuff. And we saw him actually throw the ball over 50 yards on that last practice last week, which was significant because we hadn't seen it. I talked to you, guys, on the last episode, I talked about, he threw this backside dig I saw with, kind of some zip to it. And I thought that was nice. Well, then you got to see a couple of balls that traveled 30, 40, 50 yards through the air and actually saw some real zip on there and saw what looked like a guy that wasn't encumbered in any way. He was able to open it up, and then for Barry to go, he's ahead of schedule. We feel great. He's going to, Mary Kay talked about he's going to hit the ground running when they go to Greenbrier next month. So whatever you guys thought where he was on that, it sounds like he's actually further, according to the Browns GM.
It sounds hard to quantify to me since it's an injury that no quarterback has had, to say he's ahead or behind schedule, because there's no set schedule. There's no precedent that you're following. So you're just talking about the surgeon's guidelines. But I agree. Everything you said is correct. The fact that we saw him really open up his carriage, let it rip a few times, putting, I know the word zip gets thrown around, but the velocity he was throwing it with on the last day of camp mixed with the distance we saw him get. And one of those is off platform. It wasn't he was kind of thrown against the grain, and it was right on point, right off Elijah Moore's fingertips. I mean, that ball's in the air 50 yards. That's a great sign. It doesn't mean anything for the future other than physically it looks like he's where he needs to be. Now you get an extra of, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, where we're not going to see anything. It's going to be 0 dark 30. Hopefully there's no complications in that meanwhile, so that when we get to the Greenbrier, we're not still on this magnifying glass. How's it going? How's he looking today? And it just becomes the norm that he's out on the field and performing. That's what we need him to do.
You're no longer staring at his shoulder or his face to see if he grimaces. You're okay, let's see.
Playing football.
Let's see how he is playing football. Yeah.
Right. I thought seeing him air it out, I did not expect to see him airing it out like that in minicamp. And so that was highly encouraging to me because they talked about, bring him along slowly. Don't do this every other day. And I think specifically you saw the clips that we saw early were all more short, right?
Yeah.
And so there was a noticeable difference once he starts airing it out, especially that final day. And I think I talked about this like a week ago, but he just like I listened to him talk. He has the demeanor of somebody that is excited and upbeat and not somebody that is like downtrodden from an injury or seems like he's super concerned about where he's at or that kind of thing. I look for those things because I think, a player will sometimes tell you without telling you where they're at. Mm-hmm. And Deshaun's just overall, the way he answers questions seems excited about where this is going and where he's at. So I'm going to take that as a good sign. And then, the things we saw in the final day looked that way as well. So let's get it rolling.
I'm going to play a little devil's advocate, though.
Okay.
So we saw him do that on the last day of mandatory minicamp. We have no idea what he felt like the next day.
True.
So it'll be more encouraging if we get in the training camp and he's doing that early on in training camp and we see him for consecutive days. Or if he still takes his rest day the following day, there's no ill effects.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wonder if in his mind he was like, I'm going to prove something the last day of this because he knows he doesn't have to lace up the next day.
Right.
You know what I mean? So he's, I'm going to show him that I can still fling it. Here's my other thing. That's the first time we saw. There's no way that's the first time he's made that throw this offseason. You know what I mean? He's taken some reps where he's pushed the ball downfield.
I'm sure. Right. Because
obviously we didn't see it, but he knew he could do it. And he let a few rip, which, takes confidence. And anytime you return from an injury, that is the thing that gets looked over the most is the confidence in your body to respond. Because, physically you might have built up all the muscles. You might have gained the range of motion and all the different things you need to overcome when you're coming back from an injury. But the mentality, for like a running back, it's a knee. It's like the first time we see Nick do a jump cut, a lateral jump cut at full speed. Like we're all going to we're going to be holding our breath,
Yeah.
And then after we see him do it a few times, it's going to be normal to us again. But there's that mental hurdle he needs to overcome, moving laterally and being explosive that we haven't seen yet. We don't know if he's done it yet, but when that moment comes, it'll be a huge moment for him mentally. Same thing with Deshaun letting a rip. Okay, I still got it. That's got to be something for him.
It's probably important too that Deshaun shows his teammates where he's at, right?
Mm-hmm.
You want to end minicamp with a good outlook, moving forward and be like, hey, I'm here, I'm healing, I can do this. We're gonna compete this year, that type of thing. So I'm really glad that we did see that.
I am so sorry that I zoned out, but Joe Hendry's on NXT right now. So I've been waiting for him to make his appearance in WWE. Been saying his name, and he's supposed to appear when you say his name. So shit, he's finally here. So I'm having a little bit of a geek moment here off to the side. Yeah. So I had to text friend of the show, Eddie McDonald, let him know Joe Hendry's appeared. So now I've got to watch NXT. I don't know if you guys haven't heard the Joe Hendry song. It's just so catchy, his theme song.
I don't know who Joe Hendry is.
I do not either.
Hendry.
See, same.
He's with TNA. TNA is who he's signed with right now, the Wrestling Association. But he's a international superstar is what I call him. But he's just got this super catch. I can't put it on. We're going to get hit with copyright if I put it on here. But
don't do that.
But he's just got this crazy. It's just all over TikTok, and everybody's like, "We got to get him on there," And he's like this, and so now he just appeared at NXT as part of the as part of the Battle Royale. So he just showed up. So this is kind of cool. All right. Other things. Casey, do you have that quote? Do you have that Nick Chubb quote? Because I was looking for it.
Yeah, I'll pull it up. Give me just 1 second here. You can.
I'll set it up if you
float around here as I do the thing.
Another thing Barry talked about was Nick Chubb, and he's Casey will get the quote here in just a second, but it just feels like there's some smoke that he's going to be back sooner than we expected. I'm not ready. I know some people are ready. I've seen quite a few people. I know Quincy Carrier, who does great work on YouTube. He believes that Chubb will be ready week one. I'm not there yet,
Yeah, Jack Duffin is also a believer.
I'm starting to believe that he may play in September. Like, I'm almost there. I'm like, hey, man, maybe 1 or 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe something like that. You know, and I mean, Jack's got a good point. Jack Duffin has a great point. He talks about it from Follow the Money because Jack's the best in the business, not Browns wise. He's the best in the business when it comes to salary cap and following the money. And so when he says something like that, I listen. And when Quincy Carriers talks about stuff like that, I listen. And so these guys are saying it, and it seems very real. And maybe I'm twisting Barry's words, but it kind of felt like another bit of smoke that he might be back a lot sooner than we expect.
Okay. This is per Ian Rappaport at Rap Sheet. Browns GM Andrew Berry discusses his team's anticipation for Nick Chubb on the Insiders. Quote, one of the moments that we're almost looking forward to is the first time he runs out of that home tunnel for his debut of the 2024 season. Now, is his debut the team's debut? That's the question.
Yep.
But the fact that they're looking forward to that, I just
–
they must feel really confident that we're going to see Nick Chubb sooner rather than later.
It feels like it.
Also notable, very, very, very in that interview, also called Nick Chubb like the heart and soul of the Browns, which was I just don't think you see GMs talk about, especially running backs like that very often. I don't think that's something. And you know, Barry mentioned the human element and this is not the first time he's brought it up. And I think that's important. I think it's reflected in the way that the Browns, you know, retired Kirksey and Higgins, and you know, they're honoring Phil Dawson, and you know, if they had cut Nick Chubb, nobody was going to give Nick more money than the Browns, right? Mm-hmm. And they did. They also, it's notable that they gave him incentives, right? Which I get it, right? It sucks for Nick, but at least the Browns gave him incentives to say, okay, if you come back and you perform, you're going to get all the money that you were going to get.
He had zero guaranteed money on his contract. You know what I mean?
Right.
So most teams could just cut bait. Yeah. Nick, I think you make an excellent point, man, because the Browns have such a data-driven front office, and everybody sees them as analytical and these mathematicians and robots and salary cap wizards. But he does talk about the human element a lot, doesn't he?
Yeah.
About you know, so that just shows you it's not just numbers, man. This isn't just the numbers like, well, the stats say you do this, so this is what you do. Because the stats say you cut the running back coming off a second devastating knee injury.
Yep.
It's the human element that kept him in Cleveland this year. So that's massive, and that's something I've said for a long time. I believe Nick Chubb was the heart of the team.
We've talked about this aspect of it before, but I think it reigns more true today when you know, with the Nick Chubb stuff. You have sent a message out there that the Browns take care of their own. They will re-sign you. They will pay you. They've extended their players. They've taken chances on players.
It's further than that. They've done the right thing to hurt themselves in the OBJ thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they act, and their actions show they give a shit more than just about just straight up dollars and cents and wins and losses. They seem to give a shit.
Yep.
Right.
And I mean, like,
you're right.
You've paid all that money to Judy because of what you think he's going to do. You paid that money. You kept David Njoku around because you thought he would buy in and then get paid, and you paid Chubb, and then you were like, we're not cutting this dude. Yeah. Like, we're going to change the contract so it helps both of us.
Right.
But we're going to put him in a good position to make a return. It's just it shows the organization has an idea of what they're doing, and it makes it even more appealing that they consider the human element, like repeatedly.
Jacob, to your point, when Jerry Jeudy got his extension, they were interviewing him and asking him about it, and he made it very clear. He's like, you know, I didn't feel wanted in Denver, and when he gets his extension in Cleveland, it's like he's like, to me, it shows me that they believe in me. They want me here. And like, I think that matters to players, you know, like you're going to get the best of Jerry Jeudy because they believed in him. and they showed that they wanted him. And it's like, and then I think about, I get this as a small thing, but for one of the interviews, or for one of the, I think it was Jordan Hicks that came into the building. When Andrew Berry meets him, he's wearing Angry Runs David Njoku shirt. Like I know this is a couple months ago, but it's like, that's a dude who originally requested a trade out of Cleveland. And now our GM is wearing his shirt. Like I just think that players see that it matters to them, and it's this is like, as this regime is now extended, it's like these types of things build up over time. The goodwill that you buy from players and the effort that you get from them when you are good to them in return. And I think we're starting to see the benefits of like that's why guys would take discounts to stay in Cleveland, is because they like the culture. They like how the management is to them. I just think we're on the cusp here of seeing something that has the potential to be very special for a long time. And it's because of the leadership that's in place and has now been entrenched for the future.
Well, I'm probably jumping the shark on this, but they also announced this week that the AFC North will be spotlighted during the in-season Hard Knocks. And that caused me to reflect of the last time they were on Hard Knocks and where this team was at that point to where they are now. Complete culture shift. If you look at this place of going into the 18 season to where they are now, to where they're a destination that players don't feel like they're being marooned, or if you get drafted, it's a bad, you know what I mean? Just think of where they were in 18 to where they are now, man. And it's caused me a lot of reflection this week. Just it's a completely different environment. It's a complete 180.
Are you saying that when someone questions the head coach, you don't want to hear him say, "I drive the bus"?
When you sit in this chair, you can drive the bus. Okay. I think Todd Haley thought he was getting that interim job.
He did. It's the reason he took the job to begin with, and his plan was to be head coach by the middle of the season.
Yeah.
Dorsey wasn't playing that. Or was DePodesta not playing that?
No, that was Dorsey's plan. I think Haslam upended it and fired both of them. I think Dorsey brought Haley in to make Haley the head coach because they had that connection from their time together in Kansas City.
I agree.
I really believe that was happening.
So that's a DePodesta call then. Jimmy didn't make that call.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, it's probably DePodesta who was – and Jimmy may have been the one that did it, but it probably came from –
DePodesta like sniffed out the fuckery. He's like, no.
This is a terrible idea.
It's a terrible idea.
It's just absolutely stupid. Okay. Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper obviously held out last week, wants a contract extension, totally understandable. Brad Stainbrook reported yesterday that the issue is not money right now. They're struggling on the length of a new contract extension. The Browns have offered him a raise in 2024 in an additional year. He didn't really talk about the money, like the overall money and stuff like that, but it sounded Cooper wants more security and guaranteed money. He wants two more years on the extension. Right now, the Browns are only offering the one. I understand cap flexibility here, but like he just turned 30 yesterday. I would give him two. I would give him those 2 years. If that's all it is, like if he was wanting like a 4 or 5 year extension or something like that, and you didn't want to give him that, I guess I could understand that. But I think Amari Cooper's got 2 or 3 more good years. And I know that part of it, and I saw Jack Duffin talk about this and some other people talking about it, that the interesting aspect of it is that it may have to do with Watson's contract length in the sense that you're coming up on him potentially getting an extension if you add a certain amount of years, because he's got this year and the next 2 years. So you're potentially up against that in that whatever finagling you're going to have to do if Watson plays well and earns an extension. So that could be the reason. But for me personally, if it's a difference between 1 year or 2 year extension, I'd give Amari the 2 year extension right now. No questions asked.
But do you do that second year of the extension guaranteed, or do you give yourself an out?
You give yourself an out, yes.
That might be the problem.
Well, but it sounds like they're not even offering him 2 years. They're just offering him the 1.
Which would be what I would do. That is exactly the window I would try to open, is you secure this year and get an extra year on the back end. Give your wide receiver window a little more, width. You just said it. He turned 30 yesterday. Most typically you get to 32 and your best ball is behind you. So then it is hard pressed to pay a guy 28 or whatever the going rate would be.
Going rate is, yeah.
Yeah, for someone who's on the backside of it. I'm not saying Amari will be. I'm on record, man. Amari's game will age better than most because it's not predicated on being super twitchy. That dude's a precise route runner. He's a salesman. He's a professional. You know what I mean? So I think his game will age better. But you'd rather get out a year too early than a year too late.
Yeah. But I agree with you. But at the same time, okay, now I'm hoping Jerry Jeudy ends up being a great trade and the Browns' reliable wide receiver. But I look beyond him and I see a bunch of guys that have not shown that they can be significant contributors in the room yet. And with the draft history that the Browns have with wide receivers, I'm a little nervous. I'm a little nervous if Amari Cooper's not in that room. Man, like if the Browns had drafted, I think like the premier guy. So when the Browns trade for Elijah Moore, they moved down that round, and I think the premier receiver that I guess premier is the wrong word, but like they missed out on Jaden Reed. I don't know if they would have drafted him anyway. But like if they had like a young guy that had shown a ton of promise, then I think they probably play, but I just don't think they're in a position to play hardball. Like it could work. Like maybe Jamari Thrash is that guy. Maybe Cedric Tillman takes a step. Maybe Jerry Jeudy just really performs. But that's risky, man. It's risky.
I just don't think 2 is crazy. Like I don't like, especially if there's some kind of out there, because the argument is the argument, and I see this for Amari not wanting just 1 year, is he's going to be in the exact same position next year. He doesn't want to be in the exact same position this year next year as he is right now. Right. And that's what happens if you just throw 1 year on there. I'm sure the guarantee, because they've offered him more guaranteed money this year as part of it. Well, okay, then offer him more guaranteed money this year and next year and add that second year of an extension with an out. Like do it similar to what Nick Chubb's contract was before they redid it, where it was like they could have just walked away here in that final year. We'll do that with Amari Cooper, where he's secured this year, next year, and then the year after that, if he's still playing up to his ability and he hasn't regressed, you've got him under contract and you can talk then. I get it. I get roster flexibility. I get the age and all of that, those sorts of things. I just don't think that a 2-year extension is a bad thing in any way, I guess, is my point.
No, it's not a bad thing, but if you get to that point and he's not got, he's under contract the way he's under contract this year and not showing up, what's going to stop him from that year, from Groundhog Day 2 years from now, even though you don't owe him anything and you could just cut him and move on? At some point, it's going to be cold and calculated, and we talk about the human element. They've done right by so many people. I want to see them do right by Coop, but at some point, you can't get held hostage over a contract.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
think he shows up to camp no matter what.
No, that's the thing is, what if they don't work this out? Does he play on 23.5? That's what his total is this year?
I think it was 23.
He should, right? Like that's a good chunk of change for a season's worth of work. Now, the market has moved since he signed that deal.
Yeah.
And now, Calvin Ridley's making more than him. Should Calvin Ridley make more than Amari Cooper? No.
Which is why they've offered him a raise, to be fair.
You should. Yeah. So I don't know. I do think this though, and Nick was touching on it. Like I feel really hopeful about our wide receiver room, about the potential of that wide receiver room. But the reason you feel good about it is because you have the constant that is Amari Cooper. You know what this is. So this could be explosive. It could be dynamic. But if you're relying on that to be all those things because you don't have this, that's a lot of hope.
It's that damn Family Guy meme all
Could
over
be a boat.
again.
It could be a boat.
It could be anything. It could be a boat. Well, then take the boat.
Yeah.
There is a boat. Take it.
So I guess in summation, the cliff does come fast. I understand that. There are still guys in their 30s that are like Keenan Allen is still productive. Devontae Adams is still productive. There's wide receivers that are doing it at that age. And Amari's fresh off of his
Where would you slot
highs.
Amari with those two particular players?
What's that?
If you were to rank those three particular players, Devontae, throw Mike Evans in there too. Mike Evans, Devontae, Amari, and Keenan Allen.
So where's
Amari at for you?
I'm putting him over Keenan Allen.
I am.
But under Devontae?
Man, he's pretty close.
Because these are all receivers that are in the same age range.
Yeah.
Right. That in terms of like comparable.
He's making more than Mike Evans.
I think he's like.
He's already making more than Mike Evans.
It's like 2 or 3. Mike Evans had a hell of a year.
He always had a hell of a year.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
but he's making. I think he's making like 20 or 21.
Well, but that's the thing is I'm not even looking so much at the dollar amount because it sounds like he doesn't – the dollar amounts that's being thrown out there, it sounds like Cooper's fine with. It's the length. He just wants more stability. Or not stability, but yeah, I mean
this is his last bite at the apple, right? Last big bite. Say he does – because say in his mind, because I think we've talked about this before, is like – we don't know what his mentality is because we're like, okay, give us 2, maybe 3 more seasons out of you and, we'll let you go on your way. What if he's like, I want to play 5, 6 more years? That won't be in Cleveland. This doesn't work out to where he plays that long in Cleveland.
No,
so on the back end, he's probably signing 1-year deals like DeAndre Hopkins is doing now or something. You know what I mean? When he gets to at that point where he's outside of this contract. So, at some point he's going to be a mercenary if he wants to keep playing.
Mm-hmm.
I would gladly if they could get Cooper to sign the extension, guaranteed money this year, next, and then have a 3rd year structure, but there's an out for the team. I would gladly take that. I just don't know if he will.
I think ultimately they'll find a way to get something like that done. He even says that they'll get a deal done before training camp.
Because we don't know if it's a boat in that box. We don't know if it's a boat.
But we know that boat is a boat.
That's what I'm saying. But we don't know if that's a boat. So you got to at least give yourself the window to develop players or let someone identify themselves as a potential one, and then you.
Mm-hmm. So I guess because Amari is still coming off of a career year, I think I agree with Jacob that I'll give him the 2 years, but yeah, there's got to be some type of you can't lock yourself just in case because the cliff comes fast. Casey, to your point. The cliff comes fast, and sometimes, all of a sudden you're 29-year-old Mike Williams, who's a year younger, and you're hurt every year, and you have no idea what you're going to get out of that dude.
Yep, none.
Right.
Can we talk dumb, reckless rumors real quick before we go on?
Yeah, I know what you're going to bring up.
So an unreputable account recently posted that the Browns were in trade talks for Brandon Aiyuk.
It was a swap of Amari Cooper and Brandon Aiyuk, and they would throw in a draft pick and sign Aiyuk to like a 5-year, like $200 million or something. It was just an absolute. I would.
I was just going to say would.
I would, but I don't think they would. Like just
I don't
because
trust the site at all. I don't trust the rumor, but I think it's an exercise. If I had to choose which of these 2 receivers to hitch my wagon to for the next 5 years, it's going to be the younger Aiyuk, who I was my white whale going into this offseason to begin with, was laying that as my free agent, laying that as a trade. Because when I think about how this front office operates, they trade for guys. And I just thought that was a guy that was a possible get. I didn't realize the tag was going to be a 1st rounder. That's when they got out of my realm. I was like, okay, well, goodbye, Brandon Aiyuk, my sweet prince. But if if you love something, you let it go, and if it comes back, it loves you. So this rumor's come all the way full circle. And it's a rumor. I don't think there's anything to it, but I do think that Brandon Ayuk's going to end up playing somewhere. Now that somewhere might even be San Francisco, but some team might trade for him, and if that happens, I would be devastated if that was the end of how this all ended. So this is twofold, right? Because there has been smoke
about Baltimore and Pittsburgh
I know.
all off season, man. So, and you're talking about a guy who was an all-pro in an offense that doesn't target him nearly as much as he could be or probably should be.
Well, they don't throw the ball nearly as much as other offenses do because, I mean, you've got Christian
NFL's
McCaffrey
leading rusher, and I get that. But my point is, if Brandon Aiyuk was to go to an offense that really airs out the ball, I think there would be no question that dude is in the top elite upper echelon of NFL wide receivers.
He's top 5.
Well, there it is, right? And he's 26. Okay, so twofold. Number one, you stop Pittsburgh and Baltimore. I don't know if Baltimore do it. I think Pittsburgh might get crazy. And number two, you now have your new young between Judy and Aiyuk. You've got a guy who's 25 and 26, and this whole mess of guys younger than him. And I love Amari. I love everything he's done. He can thrive in San Francisco still. It's not like you're sending him to Siberia, right? But I think from just evaluated objectively, you got to get Brandon Aiyuk in that situation. You have to. I'm in. Jimmy Haslam doesn't care, and it's like suddenly you just have this wide receiver core plus Njoku. That's oof.
Could be something. I'm not gonna. Yeah, I don't want to think about it because I don't think it's realistic. But like,
I could see why they do. Like San Francisco just spent their first round pick on Ricky Pearsall, right? Like you're not putting a first round pick. They don't pass enough to use 3 wide receivers plus Kittle and CMC. They just don't, right? And Pearsall's not a young guy. He's 24 already, right?
Yes.
So I play a lot of dynasty football.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I just don't think you're getting the bang for your buck using a first round pick on 24-year-old Pearsall if you're going to bury him behind Aiyuk and Debo. So I don't know. He's good.
This will be fun. Little funsies on a Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Chicken fried steak. Tight ends. We got to talk about some tight ends. So we'll talk about the tight end room. Wrap this thing up with a great question at the end of this show. You kiss my ass. Anyway, you know what I'm talking. Yeah. Okay. All right. I see you.
You started it.
No.
We'll get to it. I didn't.
You did. And so, yeah. Tight end room. Headlined by David Njoku, I think is one of the better tight ends in the NFL. He's probably one of the best all-around tight ends in the NFL. He's got to be right up there as one of the best blocking tight ends. And he also is one of the most athletic tight ends you're going to see. And so, I mean, it's headlined by Njoku, who I think is a star. Like, I don't think it's crazy to call him a star tight end. Had over 800 yards receiving last year. 600 of them were after the catch, which is just stupid. It's just stupid. Like, and I love to watch him in the open field because he just glides. Like he doesn't look, he
never looks like he's sprinting.
No, it doesn't even look like he's zooming down the field. It just looks so effortless for him. It looks like he's just out there on a leisurely little jog and he's running by all these freaking athletes and he's just going down the field and, and he's waving by and he's stiff arming people and he's pancake blocking in the run game. Like, listen,
right there.
I love David Njoku. It's crazy that there's not an 85 hanging behind me. It's probably because I don't buy a ton of jerseys. Yeah. But like, I was slandered on Dog Pound Daily when I went to bat for that extension. I was just slandered in the comments. There's this guy that used to comment all the time. His name is Deer Hunting Dave.
Deer Hunting Dave did
not like it. I don't think he ever said a nice word about a single damn thing I said. And like, I was there for like, I was there for 13 months and I don't think he said a damn nice thing about me. Like, I remember when actually, I do remember the comment when I wrote that they made the right call citing him to that extension. he said, "Do you believe anything you say? Is this what they teach you in journalism school nowadays?" It's like, jokes on you, bitch. I didn't go to journalism school. Yeah. So I don't know, man. Like, what can you say about David Njoku other than like this dude is just, if you try to put a linebacker to cover him, he's too fast, too athletic. If you try to put a smaller corner on him, he's too big, too strong. He's just like, I hope him and David Njoku, I hate him. Drew said I hated the extension at the time. Hated on this show to boot. He did come on here and he did. He didn't like the extension, and we had very good productive talks about that in the DMs and things like that. But like, I just think that if him and Watson can get on the same page, I really think that he's 1,000-yard receiver this year.
Waiting to happen.
I remember we celebrated on this show about the David Njoku extension, but I was so unwilling to deal with the negative backlash that there collectively was about David Njoku's extension. I didn't even tweet about it because I just did not want to deal with all the people and the negativity of surround. Like that is.
I remember that.
That is Andrew Berry's best. I told you so deal to this point. It's awesome. But I just want to say one of my favorite stats from the entire year last year is that David Njoku is the only tight end in the top 10 of Yak. It is a sea of wide receivers. That is a wide receiver category there. It is not a tight end category. And Njoku is a unicorn, man. He's a unicorn, and I don't care who knows. I've been saying it for a long time, and he finally got to show it. I still think about that Chicago game, man.
He's still 28, right? Like, he's still only like 28.
Yeah. I just think about that Chicago game when he just put the Browns on his back and he got them down the field in a field goal range in a game they had no business winning. And I'm like, this is the first time I've ever seen I no disrespect to Jordan Cameron or Gary Barnidge or that, but Njoku is a long-term. It's the first time I've ever seen a tight end that's like not a flash in the pan, but it's like this guy legitimately has ascended to this place where it's like he's going to be a dominant tight end for years to come. I have zero doubt about it.
I have so much shit to say that I'm going to miss something for sure.
Yeah.
David Njoku is going into his 8th season.
Yes.
He's 28 years old.
Yeah.
Mind-blowing, and did the evolution of a player when he got here, just allergic to blocking, to being one of the best blocking tight ends in football. And like we talk about what he means to this team, he leads the team in vibes for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like David, he's aesthetically, like, you can put him in any jersey, he's gonna look awesome. Like he's got his own thing, man. And he came in the league with his own thing. He has his own celebration, and we didn't know because we've had players come in here and leave on that first contract, and it's hard. And he came in during an era that had happened so many times. It's hard to get attached to people. Well, we watched David grow up right in front of us.
Yeah,
and that contract,
he will fight you if you badmouth Cleveland.
I'm saying, man,
that
like
too.
he. And we talk about Nick, how I said it during the season. Njoku became that the persona of the team. Like that tough spirited rallying cries. You go around Njoku, and I don't know, man. The contract at face value the day you sign it, yeah, man. It's because where people get messed up with free agents is you don't pay for what someone's done, you pay them for what they're going to do, and that's what you got with Njoku. You know what I mean? Now when you see what he's doing, it's like, yeah, that contract makes a lot of sense. You feel good about that now that this player has fully been exposed, and I just think there's so many more levels to unlock in this game. Like, the threat that he should be in the red zone, they should lean heavily on that, in my opinion. And don't get me wrong, he set his own personal best 6 touchdowns last year. I need that number 8 to 10. I think because I think that's where he should be, not because I want to see it. I just think that's in that player to be had. And last year when the running game faltered, he became the running game with short passes because you could just. I think, how many balls was it last year, Jacob? 88, 82? How many did he catch?
Oh, God. I had it. Hold on.
I'm going to say 81 is my guess.
All right.
81.
My guy had 35 first downs. He moves the chains, man. He's just a physical presence out there, and he's a mismatch waiting to happen. All my reservations on that tight end room, nothing has nothing to do with David Njoku. It's that, in my opinion, you got dick behind him. You got a big fat goose egg behind David Njoku. So your plan for tight end is David Njoku not getting hurt. That is the plan, and that worries me some.
Just a sad note on the side note, just a hat off real quick. Willie Mays passed away at the age of 93. Absolute legend, man. Absolute legend on the diamond. Passed away at 93 years old. So I just
wow.
Damn.
Over 600 dingers, man. Like Willie's legit. Dude, I actually have a Willie Mays card from an All-Star game in the 60s. Can't remember, maybe 63.
Damn.
I've had it since I was a kid. I'll display it on the bookshelf for my next show.
Rest in paradise.
That's sad. That's sad. But 93 years old, had a hell of a run, man.
Yeah.
Crispy face, no problem for David Njoku.
That too.
That's a crazy.
Think about that.
I don't know if he's at tight end you or not. Actually,
he's been there before. I don't. He's not one of the founders or anything. But correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't that right before the Baltimore game?
Yeah, it was the Baltimore game's the game he played with it. Yeah.
So it was like Friday he does it and he plays on Sundays.
He led the team in receiving. Yeah.
And targets and catches.
And then he showed the pictures come out like not, and he didn't post the pictures right after. Like, let's see what a tough guy I am. They leak way after.
Yeah.
Right. Like it was like a week or two beyond the game, and all of a sudden you seen what he was playing through, because all we saw was the mummy wrap.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And he didn't take his helmet off for the entire game.
Yeah. He showed up to
salute, my man.
He showed up to the game, and that, like, you can still find the GIF if you type in David Njoku on Twitter. But he showed up in that like mask and like the open chested, like bro's burnt to a crisp, and it's just like wearing this badass and he came in, he played like a badass. Like that game was which I gotta say this, that damn game against Baltimore in which they honored Joe Thomas was the only home game they lost the whole year. I'm still pissed.
Yeah.
But
should be.
David Njoku, man. You guys briefly brought up the him defending Cleveland. It's like he's become one of the faces of the team.
He is. Yeah.
That's
Nick, you were at his softball game less than a week ago.
That was super fun. And he got a lot of people, I don't know how that works. There were a lot of people there that I had I was like, wow, like you're getting former Browns, you're getting Josh Gordon, you're getting Travis Kelce, you're getting Nick Chubb's there, Kareem Hunt's there, there's a lot of people that showed out and showed up for David Njoku. Like that's
respect.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
He has the respect of a lot of people. You know what I mean? That's
which, not to be, I don't want to be negative, but I think there's a big missed opportunity here. Like, you've got David Njoku at the peak of his powers, and I would have loved to see the Browns bring in a young tight end to just be in that room with them, learn from him. I would love, or at worst, they got to bring somebody in next year. You got to bring somebody up in that tight end room, man.
I would argue potentially that there is one that they brought in that's young. And we can talk about the other guy in a minute that I was going to talk about. But, man, the Trayton Welch thing, the undrafted free agent from Wyoming, is fascinating because when you talk about rookies, I'm not talking about anybody that's had any time in the NFL. That is the move that they made between the draft and UDFA land. That's the move that they made, was to bring Trayton Welch in. And I mean, it was Wyoming, not a ton of pass production or good offense going on there right now. But he's a pretty good athlete. He's a sneaky good athlete. He's explosive. He's got a good vertical, got good movement skills in the open field. I think he's got good hands. I don't really think it's a terrible situation with like dropsies or stone hands or anything of that nature. But like, if you're going to tell me they took a flyer on somebody with upside to mold, it's got to be Trayton Welch, because there's nothing else there. And I know Serge mentions Zaire Mitchell-Payton. He's the dude that just hangs around and hangs around. This might be his year. I mean, there's finally a spot there. Like, if there was ever a year for him to make it, it's this year, right?
That can't be the fucking plan. Look, dude, I'm being dead honest serious. If David Njoku gets a high ankle sprain, who the fuck are you marching out there for 11 personnel? ZMP is your plan. I can't. I
mean, Jordan Akins is still going to be there.
He's not in line blocking Jack, dude. Like he's a pass catcher only. I just don't like the plan behind David Njoku, man. I can't. Trayton Welch might be something for the future. Maybe you can sneak him out in some packages, get him in some like power slot scenarios, but like you need someone else other than David Njoku who can block for no other reason than maybe I want to run 12 personnel and actually let David run a route.
Yeah.
Because you have to keep the dude in the block.
Yeah, the blocking thing is an issue, yeah.
Okay, well, let's think about this. The Browns have made moves in the summer frequently.
What about Cedric Tillman? You want to put Cedric Tillman in line a little bit?
No, I don't want to, but we might have to. That's sad. I don't want to do that.
Maybe.
Giovanni Ricci. Like I don't like the answers here.
Yeah, maybe there's a little late pick that they can swap for.
I mean, Ricci can block.
They listed him as a fullback for a reason.
Yeah, he can block. Like if you're saying, hey, keep me a guy that can block, then you keep Giovanni Ricci.
I don't know if he's blocking in line though. He's a move. He's an H.
I mean,
I'm looking at pieces, man, and Nick, you're barking up the right tree, dude. I'm thinking you're going to have to find a team with a surplus of tight ends.
It's such a weird room because you're like, David Njoku's a superstar. What the fuck is that?
Right.
Like you're just like, yeah, woo, woo, and then you turn around to the rest of the room and you're like, son of a bitch.
Look, dude, if David doesn't look, David played 16 games last year. He didn't play 17 because they all set the 17th game. So he played in every game that they intended to play their starters, which is the first time he's done that in his career. So that's a trend in the right direction. And we know he battled through stuff to do it, and he played it as the best level we've seen him at as a pro. So if he doesn't get hurt, I'm not really going to be having no freak out moments. But if there's a pulled groin and he's missing 3 weeks, like I just don't know what the answer is. I think you have to trade for somebody. I don't think you can go into the year with these as your backups. I just don't.
I agree. It's kind of like the Browns defensive line of a couple of years ago. You looked at it and you said, there is a void here. And they just went in the year with it, and it was as bad as we thought it would be.
And I was saying exactly what I'm saying right here, right now. They can't go into the season with this is the plan. And they're like, hold my beer. And they've sent those dudes out there. And then we're like, we couldn't even judge our linebackers. We couldn't even assess what JOK was because there was nothing he could do. There was just waves. He was getting his own dudes thrown in his lap. Like there was like nothing for him. So I'm not saying this is as dire at tight end because you have Njoku.
Of course. But he's dealt with injuries. He has. Guys get injured. It's football. So my pie in the sky, I don't think they would move him. But my pie in the sky is that the Raiders just drafted
Michael Mayer.
Right.
Say it.
My pie. Listen, Michael Mayer's
a new regime. It's not the regime that drafted Michael Mayer.
Right, because they just drafted. His name escapes me right now. The tight end out of Georgia,
Brock Bowers.
Brock Bowers. Thank you. And Michael Mayer. A lot of great alliteration here. Is just kind of floating, right? Because everyone says Brock Bowers is one of the greatest tight end prospects that they've ever seen, and so the Raiders couldn't pass up on the value. And da. Well, it's like Michael Mayer is what was showing a little bit of promise over there in his own right. And if I'm not mistaken,
didn't they just also get Harrison Bryant? Am I awful on this? Isn't Harrison Bryant also in Oakland?
Harrison Bryant.
I'm sorry, Vegas.
Yeah.
Is he? Yeah, he is, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Michael Mayer's my pie in the sky. I'm just going to say it now. Maybe we can look back on it and be.
I'm gonna give Jacob a chance here. Jacob, can you guess who the tight end I would trade for is?
Damn.
I'll give you one clue if you need it.
Yeah, I need it.
I knew we wouldn't draft him because he was too old.
Daniel Bellinger? No, fuck! Jaheim Bell. No. Jelani Woods.
Jelani Woods.
Jelani Woods. I had it in my head.
Tight ends in Indianapolis, and
I had Jelani Woods in my head. I just couldn't get there. I was
wrong
like,
check. I got you.
Yeah, I knew it was a
super draft crush of mine. I don't know how apt they would be to move off of him. He was hurt and didn't really play at all last year. You know, they got Mo Alley Cox. They got people. You know, I just don't know if they would be willing to move off of him. But I think that's the kind of direction you got to go, man.
His search says you just trade and get Bryant back.
Well, I will say this, because we were all like, hey, they can do better than Bryant. I think that's what we were all saying when they moved on. Like, yeah, he's good, but they could do better.
Yeah, but then they didn't.
And then they just didn't. So, like, it's the one position where you didn't get better. You just definitely didn't get better.
They're like, nah, fuck it. We're not going to play tight ends anyway. Shit.
That's the days of multiple tight ends on the field at the same time are long gone. What an evolution that's been.
22 personnel. Like, it was just.
Okay, another thought. Would the Bills trade Dawson Knox?
Kincaid might be their future, you know. He might be the most talented receiver they have, let alone tight end.
Right. Like Kincaid really had a nice year for them last year, and they've got and it's like once Knox was hurt last year, that's when Kincaid broke out. Right.
What is his contract situation?
I'm throwing stuff at the wall here.
Football though, that's the directions we need to be thinking, guys. Yeah. Who other teams might be willing to move off of if they have a surplus, or they might be aging out, or just because you just need to rent them. Right. Give yourself another option that isn't David Njoku.
Dawson Knox. Well, you know what? He's under contract for 24, 25, and 26. He's got 2 void years on the back end, but he's got a cap hit of 7, 14, and 17.
Oh, Jesus. I didn't realize they paid him.
Yeah, wow. 7.7 this year.
That dream's dead.
Yeah, 14 next year and 17 and 26. Then a couple of void years on the back end of it. But I don't know what that looks like because I know things change once you trade the contract. Okay. I know it can. I don't know what any of that language is, but
yeah.
No, I don't know. Go find one. Just figure it out.
Go get one.
There's got to be somebody that you can
make it better.
Okay, but like the tippy top is amazing. The bottom, not so much. I guess.
Here's the $1 million question.
Okay. Oh, yes.
It's why is Creed the greatest rock band of all time?
Can you take me higher?
Just like
to a place where blind men see.
We got to get our tickets for that. We got a dog baby.
The good news is there's going to be plenty of them left for you.
Whoa. Listen to that. Okay. So
why aren't they sold out? The greatest rock band of all time. Why aren't they sold out? Well, what would that be?
They've had an absolute resurgence if you've been living under.
Well, they're on tour for a reason.
Oh yeah,
and there's plenty of tickets left for a reason too, bro.
Only 27% said they suck.
Okay,
so go to the rest of the poll there, guy. Smiley.
More people say they kick ass than they suck.
More people were indifferent and don't give a shit about them than either.
I know, but you said they suck. And I said no.
You never heard me say that.
All right, so let me narrate for a second here.
You called them Lucifer's voice.
You said they were angels. I said, yeah, if we're talking about Lucifer.
Jacob and I are going to see Creed in Cleveland this year. Casey, I wouldn't say that he would go to see Creed, to put it nicely.
So putting it mildly, dude, they could be playing in my backyard unless they're paying me. I ain't going out.
So we put out a poll from the Barking Brown show today to see how you feel about Creed. Do we have the results here?
Yeah,
Well, we do.
Well,
32% say they kick ass. 27% said they suck, and 40% were indifferent. So
how can so many people be indifferent about Creed?
that was actually surprising me. Like I
Yeah.
figured either they suck or they kick ass would win. Like I
Right.
was surprised that indifferent
What a strange
was
result.
that high, which like
Yeah.
I think speaks to the midness of Creed.
listen, but like
People don't have a feeling one way or the
but
other.
like
They don't even waste time thinking about them.
Scott did
That's
not
where
have to
they're
go.
at.
He did not have to go that hard for us every single time, and he did.
Yeah. He just
did.
I'm gonna, you know what?
Creed makes anthems for virgins.
No, divorced dads. It's
Divorced dad rock, baby.
So get over it.
Oh yeah.
Get it right.
Yeah. And I'm just so happy for them. I don't know what so let's retrace this for a second. What popularized them again? Like what happened?
I don't know. I think it's just like
something happened.
Oh, there was like that video of him singing My Sacrifice, like I don't know, like, and then they decided to go on tour or something, but
they just like blew up again, and people were like, "Who is this?" Like maybe
I think Scott Stapp got like clean.
Okay, good for him.
I think that was part of it.
Well, for whatever reason,
people like them ironically.
Hey, you know what? They're coming to Rocket Mortgage, right? And I will take videos. We'll take videos of the crowd, Casey. We'll assess who's coming to see Creed.
I wonder how many people are going to be dressed up as empty seats.
You were prepared for this conversation. I'm
speaking from the heart, Nick.
Apparently, they went. It had to do with the clips from that 2001 Thanksgiving Day Cowboys halftime show going viral on TikTok, and that had a lot to do with the popularity bouncing.
The Zooms are figuring out about all this stuff that happened long before they existed.
Yeah, I've been seeing the Zoomers. They did things like I watched one decide to go get the cherries that are soaked in moonshine that you can get down in I saw one go, "Oh, I can't wait to try this," and I'm like, "No, dude, don't do it. You are not ready for that. Don't do it." And he goes, "I'm gonna have 2," and I'm like, "No, you're not. No, you're not. Do not have 2. You're not ready for this." And he puts them in, and he's like, and then he goes, "I'd do it again." And I was like, "I respect the shit out of you for that." But then, you know what they thought they were gonna? You know what the Zoomers decided it was a popular trend to drink?
What? Laundry detergent? What are they doing now?
Everclear.
Are you guys even able to get that in Ohio yet?
We can, but it's only $151.
That's not.
So you gotta go to West Virginia if you want the 170.
Kentucky is where we would go.
Yeah, well, I'm right down. Like if you go, my dad's house is like literally there's a bridge not far from my dad's house into West Virginia, so you can just hop over there and get the Everclear there. But like they're like, "I'm gonna take a shot," and I'm like, "Don't, please don't. That is pure rubbing alcohol. Don't do it. Do not shoot Everclear. No one shoots Everclear." And they're like, and I have not seen one of them Zoomers on TikTok do it and have a good time. They're like, "Why didn't somebody tell me?"
There were no holds barred back in the day. I will never forget my first day, Kent State University. It was before classes actually started, and I, being blissfully ignorant, had no idea how much alcohol was in a Four Loko. So a friend of mine dared me to shotgun, said Four Loko. I did not make it all the way through. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I did, but I made it most of the way through. I did not make it to class the next day because I had no idea what I was in for. And
that was the real Four Loko. That's before they took them off the market and dumbed them down. You can't even get a real Four Loko anymore.
What a shame.
Which is a good thing.
You can only have heart palpitations if Christian comes up from Kentucky and brings you Ghost. Was it Ghost? No, C4. No. Bang.
It was
Bang. And as you are drinking alcohol, challenges you to shotgun Bang. and then your heart just goes. Don't recommend that. Don't recommend that one bit. Anyway,
It's a great show.
This has been an hour and 10er. Look at us go in the middle of summer, no less, of the Barking Brown Show. Tight end review. Nick Chubb coming back. Amari Cooper going to get paid. Barking Brown Show. Nick, that's Jacob Sideways Hat Man. That's Casey Awesome. Go Browns.